Neil Moorcraft. This is Automate, and in this module we're going to cover three different types of traffic. So that's traffic that you own, traffic that you control, and traffic that you don't control. And this is going to be a fairly short, swift presentation, but it's a really important one because when it comes down to success online, traffic is the most important thing, full stop. And there are only these three different types of traffic. So I'm going to talk about each one of these different traffic sources in a bit more detail. I'm going to jump online and show you exactly what I mean when it comes to paid traffic. So that's traffic that you control. And traffic that you own, obviously, is your email list and joint ventures. So we're going to start there, traffic that you own. Now, you may not have a big subscriber base at the moment, but if you do, that is the traffic that I'm talking about. If you don't, there are ways that, of course, you can get traffic. Now, you can go to the likes of Experian and buy lists, and there are other people where you can buy double opt-in GDPR compliant lists. But I wouldn't really advise it, certainly not if you're going to be buying that traffic and think that you're going to be emailing them and getting them to come onto your list, because that's very unlikely. That said, you can buy some of those lists and use them as lookalike audiences and upload that data into Google and into Facebook, and target them through interruption marketing, through display marketing, using email addresses that you buy, and that's perfectly legal. So if you go to Experience and you buy a list, it is GDPR compliant. You are able to contact them. But as I say, I wouldn't do it like that. I would potentially buy a list and upload it as an audience. And of course, there are joint venture partners. So these are people that are within your industry that complement your service rather than compete against it. And they could be, podcasters, YouTubers, influencers, that kind of stuff. And later on in the module, I share with you just a template that you can use to outreach to some JV partners. And it goes along the lines of something like, you've got an audience that I think would be interested in my product or service. I'm offering to give you a little bit of a kickback if anyone signs up. And effectively, you get that joint venture partner to become an affiliate with you. And they mail out to their list so that those people will hit your landing page and ultimately end up on your list. So that's traffic that you own. Of course, you do, if you're on LinkedIn, your connections there could be classified as a list, but I think it's fair to say that most people, with the amount of connections that we're getting nowadays, are probably not engaged with all of those contacts. So I wouldn't suggest that you download, in fact I don't think you can anymore anyway, download the subscriber connection list from LinkedIn and start emailing people. That's not what we're talking about. So that's traffic that you own. The next part is traffic that you control. And this is the really interesting bit, because without doubt, if you haven't got a list, this is the only way that you're initially going to get people onto your list, and that is through paid acquisition. So there is search marketing, we're going to come on to that in a minute, but traffic that you control is predominantly Google pence per click, so that's search advertising and display advertising on YouTube and partner websites, Facebook pence per click advertising, that we can do some demographic targeting, and the same on LinkedIn. So I'm going to dive into Google Chrome, and we're going to start with Google. And you can see here that I've logged back into my account. This is my AdWords account. There's nothing set up in here yet. As soon as I log back into this, Google is saying to me, look, let's start a campaign. I don't want to do that. I want to just get an idea of, if I was creating a campaign, what the sort of volume of the campaign is and what kind of keywords I could use. And again, later on in the program, when there's a to-do on this, I dive a lot deeper into this and I'll show you exactly how to create these keyword lists and everything else. But I'm going to show you now so you can get an idea of how easy this is. I want to leave that tutorial. So I'm going to type in here unified communications, because that's the keyword that we've agreed on at this point. And that's it. And I'm just going to get the results for that one search term and make sure that I'm in the right location. And you can see here that you've got 1,000 to 10,000 monthly searches just on that one phrase. To be honest, I think when it comes to creating a campaign on this, my strategy might be to pick that and maybe the top 3 or 4 keywords that have got high monthly search volumes. We can do a filter here and you get an idea of what those are. Unified communications as a service, that is, so that's an interesting phrase with a low competition, but you can see massively high cost per click on this. But that's how easy it is, right? You can go into Google, we're looking for paid traffic. Of course, you can start to select these key terms if they're relevant and add them to your plan. But again, I'm going to come in and show you there's a slightly better way of doing that. But I just wanted you to get an idea that when it comes to paid traffic, Google's a really good place to start. It's certainly a good place to buy paid traffic from. So we're going to be coming and looking at that a bit later. For now, we're going to leave Google and we're going to dive over to LinkedIn. And if you're logged into your own LinkedIn profile, you'll see in the top right, you've got a work button. And if you click that work button and go into advertise, that's going to open up a different level of LinkedIn, which is the paid acquisition. And I'm going to create an account in here for 186 Cloud, and the same way you would be doing it for your business. I'm just going to connect the right pricing. I can't see the wood for the trees at the minute. I'm on it. And I'm going to create a new LinkedIn page because one doesn't exist. Now, you might sit and watch me do this. If you haven't done this already, this could be useful, I guess, but it's fairly straightforward. So we're just going to click the category that we're in. I'm going to call it 186 Cloud. Company page already exists. That's interesting. Okay, in which case I'm going to abort this here and go back to my client because it looks like they maybe have already set a page up already. The point of that is that once you've done that and you come back into your LinkedIn campaign, I'll just use Toby as an example. In fact, no, I won't. I'll go into it's okay, I can stay here, that's fine. And if we were going to go and create a new campaign, the first thing it's going to ask us is just to pick the default group, which is fine, and then it's going to ask us what type of campaign we're looking for. So we could be just doing a brand awareness campaign, we could be specifically looking at lead gen or customer website. It doesn't matter at this point. This isn't really a tutorial in all of this. It's just going to give you an idea, and then you can start to see this demographic targeting. Now, of course, if you've done the value proposition work and we know your customer avatar, we can come into here and say, okay, let's start to do some targeting. So we're going to be looking for companies in this example that are probably there, and there. We want to narrow that audience further, and we're going to say we're going to look for people with specific job roles. So that might be CTO, technology officer, yeah, that's fine, and maybe IT manager, that kind of thing. And ultimately, we're going to keep doing that. We're going to narrow that audience further and further based on what we know about them. So we end up with this target list over here, and then we're going to create an ad in order to get in front of those people. Now, again, this isn't the training module for that. I'm just giving you an idea, so it's food for thought. But I'm going to come in later on and show you how to set up these ads. And I'll ultimately put some outreach. So that's what you would do. You need a company page really first, because the ad account is linked to the company page, and it may be that you want to do an in-mail campaign, or it may be that you want to direct traffic to your profile page rather than your website. So that's why we start with the company page first. In the same way, I'm going to do the same thing in Facebook. Now, I've done a quick search for 186 Cloud and I couldn't find anything. So normally I would come in here, click page, and go through the same process. But having just seen there that 186 Cloud was taken on LinkedIn, I'm cautious at this point because it may be that there's already a page that's set up, and I don't want to duplicate that. But once we've done that, we can do a very similar process with advertising, and again I'll show you how to do that later. The demographic targeting on Facebook is a bit different, but it's pretty much the same as what we just looked at on LinkedIn. So we can start to target people by age, location, job titles, interests, and all that kind of stuff, and they're going to be great for our brand awareness campaigns that we're going to run alongside our search campaigns. So we've got the two things working in tandem, and you can get out and get in front of a lot more people a lot quicker. So that's basically the traffic that you control. And then the last part of this is traffic that you don't control, and that's your on-page SEO, and it is really just as simple as that. So SEO is broken down into two segments. You've got on-page and off-page. On-page SEO is your meta descriptions, the tags on your images, the keyword density, header tags, copy length, format, structured snippets, all that kind of stuff. And again, when we build the website and we put the landing page together, I'm going to show you the exact plugin that we use, why we use it, and how to configure your on-page SEO so you get 80-90% of that work done from day one, and then you can set and forget about it. The off-page SEO is backlinks from other sites to your content. And when Google launched originally back in 2000 or whatever it was, that was pretty much the algorithm that told Google whether or not your page was relevant or not. It was how many other people had a link to your page to verify and validate whether or not that page was relevant or not. Now, of course, they've evolved massively since then, and Google looks at lots of different parameters. They look at time on site and bounce rate and all sorts of different metrics. And in fact, I think there are now literally thousands of different algorithms. But fundamentally, the backlink algorithm is still the one that holds a lot of weight. So, and you don't really want to be buying backlinks from anybody. So again, when you come onto SEO, I'll talk to you about that. SEO is a whole course in its own right, but you can do the on-page stuff yourself very easily and very quickly and know that you've done a good job of it. And then your backlink SEO really needs to be a strategy where you're reaching out to these blogs and forums and looking for backlinks and asking for backlinks. And the way you do that is commenting on their posts or having a link exchange where you've got a bit of content on a forum or a website somewhere that links back to your page. So that's it. They're the three types of traffic. That's it for, I think, this module, and I'm going to see you in the next module.